iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
As a 24-year-old, as a woman of color, it it's a dream. It's something that I've always imagined, and it just means that I'm on the right path. I'm doing something right. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm meant to be doing, inspiring others and being truthful on stage and pouring my heart out every night.
I mean, I'm seeing old friends and looking into their eyes, and I haven't seen them in a while, and it is a magnificent reunion to be able to be with my compatriots who I love so much, and to create something that was so special and so well received, and to have it be recognized like this is really special.
One of the privileges of having been through this once is, and being a little older this time, is just knowing how fast it goes and how few moments that are this, lovely that exist in one's career. So I just feel ready to just be present for it, or try to be at least. But I just feel really lucky, and it feels particularly special with this piece and this role.
It's a bit strange because it is a bit of a whirlwind, and our show closed so long ago, and so the fact that it's still being celebrated is a beautiful thing, and the fact that like Susan Lloyd Parks, I love this for her. I love this for my brother Yaya, his Broadway debut, and to be nominated alongside him. I just love this for our team, our show, Kenny Leon, who we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that brain trust, and our producers too. So I'm just grateful and kind of like taking it all in right now, because it's such an important play.
As a director, you're always hoping for that magic, for that chemistry, for that synergy, So from day one, these actors were astounding. They just worked so beautifully together, and to get to bring them all, they're the stars of the show. So that's all the star that we needed, was the 7 actors.
It's a dream come true. Excitement, giddy. I feel like I can fly. And if I talk about it too much, I'm probably going to start crying. I'm just so grateful to be here.
I have to say, back in college, I went to University of the Arts. I finished at University of the Arts, but I started at an HBCU, Morgan State University. And back then, I was inspired to create opportunities for others to work. So I produced our Black History Month performance at University of the Arts, which they still do today. And that was sort of where I got the bug that I am a leader. I can do this. And when I got to New York, all of the knowledge that I have as an actor, I've been able to apply to my producing sensitivities and sensibilities. So it's really been a learning experience for me, and full circle moment.
As a woman, I'm very grateful to be here in the directing category. I feel like I thank the women who came before, who pushed open those doors and made it possible for me. And I think, we have to have a deeper reason for doing it than any sort of accolades, right? It's a hard path, and so you really have to, I think, believe in storytelling, and that first and foremost. So when it receives love and recognition, it's really just like an abundance on top,
To be a part of something that is meaningful, that is so deeply meaningful to all of us on stage, that's a given. But to then be reminded that it is deeply meaningful to the people out there is sort of all we could ever hope for as an actor. It's all I've ever wanted. And look, I'm happy if one person's mind is changed, if one person learns something that they didn't know, if one person leaves the theater and gets proactive with their experience and does something with it and puts it somewhere. I'm happy if just one person does that. But to know that there are hundreds and thousands of people coming to see this and feeling that way is deeply rewarding.
Watching Yaya and Corey every night, every show, they played as if there were no tomorrow. They gave everything, and yet could come back every show and do it again and again, give everything and more than everything. It's a brilliantly written play, I will say, but it is not a hard play to do. And when Lincoln says, I make it look easy, but it's hard, this stuff is hard, he's not only talking about his own job and his own life, he's talking about doing the play. It is a hard, but there is nowhere to hide. There, you can't phone it in. You can't just be sitting there like, chillaxing, you know what I mean? You have to be on. You have to be ahead of the beat. You have to be ready. They do a brilliant job. And the love that they are transmitting. Kenny Leon really showed them how to transmit the excellence, brilliance, precision, and the love that's locked in the play that is yearning to be released to audiences every night.
Yeah, it is special. We felt that we had something special from the first day in the room. The passion that everyone had for this play, it was off the charts, and it was very palpable. And so to have gone through this entire experience, pardon me, and to be standing here right now with love and energy still being shown for the play, I think it's just a testament to Susan Laurie. It's a testament to Kenny Leon, Corey, and myself, and the rest of the team. There was just so much heart and love that went into this.
Sharon D. Clark took care of me on and off the stage. She really became a stalwart in the creation of what we had. The love that we wanted to portray was evident and tangible because she is such a giving spirit and a giving artist in that way. And I say in the play, you are my foundation and my support, Linda. And that was so absolutely acutely true when it comes to Sharon.
Stephen Coppell, who cast the show, he brought the right people into the room, and then everyone is such a unique clown in the most wonderful way that when you put those kind of spirits in the same room and those kind of minds in the same room, you get a show like Shucked, which is all about unique clowns and singular voices.
I'm working really hard and people are noticing and they like the work that we're doing in the show. So that's it. When I read this script, I loved it, and for the show and me to be recognized is quite literally so beautiful.
Kevin Cahoon has been with it from the beginning, from another incarnation of the show that sort of went away. And then we've brought people along the way. But it's every time we either lose somebody and then bring somebody else on, it just seems to elevate the show and get better and better. And this is, I say this is like watching the Carol Burnett show. It's this group of clowns that just play so well off each other and love each other.
About 5 years ago, Jack O'Brien came on board, and I think that was really important for him. We were so close to it that I don't know that we saw how much heart and empathy was in it and what wasn't. And man, that guy, he's a legend for a reason, and he really injected the heart and the meaning, and this can't just be froth,
I don't think people expect that they're going to be touched. I mean, they're hoping they're going to laugh, and they get a great score. They get gorgeous music, which they've never heard. But at the end of it, the amazing thing is we were able to do that hat trick, where by the time you get into the second act, you're not only laughing because it's funny, you're laughing because you recognize what's going on.
Absolutely.
And you're in part of it. You're subtle.
And we're asking everyone one last question to fill in the blank.
It becomes clear, the reality of the play changes about partway through, and what became essential was staying in the world of Oscar's ride. It's hard to not give anything away for the folks who don't know it, right? But to stay in the mindset of that character, which changes so we go from a very realistic perspective of the first two scenes to suddenly being in his world with him and the shifting reality that comes with that. So that always keeps him centered. The character almost never leaves stage, and being with him constantly on that route is really it's the goal and the focus of the way we're telling this story.
This cast is like, we've all become an incredible close family. They are the warmest, funniest, loveliest, kindest people. I love them so much. We have a texting chain that we all just text for no reason at all, just to make each other laugh almost every day. So I love them. I'm so lucky to be working with such an incredible group of people.
You never know. We started the show in Manchester, then London, then Toronto, now Broadway. There's an Australian show. And you have no idea how it's going to land with different audiences, but the fact that, like Max Martin's music, it seems to connect with people of different backgrounds, of different countries, it's completely thrilling.
It's extraordinary, really, to be recognised by the Tonys, because what I do is quite a new form in theatre. Well, it's not actually; it's one of the most ancient forms. But making it mainstream, making it commercial, is a new thing. And the Tony recognition and nomination means a huge amount to me personally. But I'm also really excited for what it's going to do for our show.
Well, I've been quoting this for weeks and months. John Kander has said that there is nothing better than making art with your friends. And it's just true. I mean, the whole process has been incredible. It's been funny. I've learned so much. We've all contributed so much. We make each other laugh. It's extraordinary. So this is icing on the cake. But the process has been like nothing else.
John Kander, of course, brings so many years of experience to a project, but what he brings most of all is a passion for collaboration. And what he asks everybody to do is come into that room with the greatest spirit of creativity, and anything is possible. And when that door shuts, it's all about the ideas you can come in with. And everybody embraces that, not just the creatives, but the actors, and anybody who's backstage or in front of the stage. And it's such a rare thing.
I mean, I'd always hoped maybe for this moment in my life, but to do it singing John's music and Fred's music and doing it in just such a spectacular way, all in service to this city, which is my home. It's honestly, I didn't need it, and that's what makes it almost the greater. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful recognition. I'm just so thankful for it.
The show is written in a way that it's attempting to embrace all of New York, which is fantastic but challenging. There are about 70 locations that we go to in the show, and some of them are, we're there for 2 seconds. But because of the way Stroh tells a story, there's usually a piece of scenery for every one of those things that comes floating through. So just figuring out how to fit it all in was the big challenge, because Broadway theaters are not very big, contrary to popular belief. There's very little backstage space. But what was most important is how do we show both the kind of the grit and the ugliness of New York, honestly, but the strange kind of beauty of that, of rusty fire escapes and garbage and bird poop on the subway. And that mixed with the utter beauty of New York, where you see suddenly the Chrysler Building pops out from behind some other building, or suddenly you're up on top of a skyscraper and you see the Empire State Building rising up next to you, or the ceiling of Grand Central Station or Old Penn Station that's no longer here. It was a set designer's dream, honestly, to get to show some of those things.
That's probably the most gratifying and rewarding aspect of it for these 2 shows, which had started long before the pandemic. We have been in processes with these shows for quite a long time, and to be developing them through that challenge, and then such different. I mean, Shucked, we completely altered what that onstage identity was during that, because of how we felt about the show and intimacy and community and all of those things. And then Something Like It Hot, we had been in a choreographic development right before that in a fully staged workshop. So both of those kind of continuing kind of gave me faith and hope through that process, but they are so different. I mean, I feel like I'm one of Casey's members of the choreographic team, one of his dancers, because the set is a participant in all of that. It is so flawlessly integrated into what he does and his brilliant vision as a director and a choreographer. And then Shucked, which is about community and taking that space that can feel like it's singular and authentic, and then just tilting it and shifting it and embracing the Nederlander theater. Both of them, I agree with you, could not be more different. So I love that they're together in this season, and to be nominated for both of them and acknowledged for my work on them is astonishing.
It means the absolute greatest. And it's been 16 years since I've done a Broadway show. Not for lack of trying, but there are so many near misses with Broadway shows. You do out of towns, they don't make them in. It's just, Shucked is so special to my heart. And Robert Horn and Brandy Clark and Shane McAnally and Jack O'Brien and Sarah Oglevy and Jason Allen, I could go down the list. All of those people are so singular and so special. And to be in the room and watch them create this show from the ground up, it's the most rewarding theatrical experience of my life.
For 10 years, we've been working on this show, and we really just kept our heads down and kept going and kept writing and rewriting. And so I think to look up and to have this sort of validation is more than we could have ever dreamed of.
I think at this point, having kind of traveled the road a little bit, the older I get, the more I appreciate how special it is and how rare it is, really. I think I'm able to savor it more because I understand perhaps a little better than I did that nothing is guaranteed, and just having that sense of immediate community in moments like this and the celebratory aspect of that, it really means a lot to me. So I think I'm able to appreciate it in a deeper way with a little bit of age.
The company of actors, I can't even breathe. They're so good, you know? And part of what was a gift is it's very unique to have a show where you get to have, I mean, there's no ensemble in the show. Every single person is a principal character. It's 18 principals. And it's really a chance for these actors who are giants, who are Olympic athletes, who are stars, to play together. And I think, you know, we just had a glorious time. It was unbelievably special and fun and moving, you know.
It's a character that, as a musical theater lover from wee age, I always have loved this show and this role, and have always dreamed of maybe getting to do it. And so it was really a blessing enough to do our little stint at City Center and feel like we had a big boom moment. So now to get a longer life with it and have a chance to really find all the little nooks and crannies of the part and like some more nuances and details and get a little closer with Michaela and really find our relationship, it's just special. And when the piece is this good, it really warrants spending more time with it.
People ask me all the time, what does it feel like to be an actor producing? And I will say that the number one lesson that I've learned is to appreciate the leader, because the buck stops with the producer. As an actor, I can walk in the room and only care about my one character. As a producer, I have to care about every character in that room, which teaches me the ability to compartmentalize much better than I ever have, but it also gives me the appreciation for the family that's created.
I knew from day one Yaya was going to come in ready to go, raring and ready to go, and prepared. And I was too, and so it was game time, and we knew, coming into the room. And we're both trained theater actors, so, we're no strangers to it, and so we spoke the same language. And then getting in the room with Kenny, who's like an uncle to us, it was because of his guidance and his leadership that show was able to take the shape it took. And so we're thankful to him for that, and I'm thankful to Yaya too, because honestly, night after night, it was just like, it was always different. It was always surprising. We kept each other on our toes. And speaking of 20 years ago, Jeffrey Wright came to fellowship with us as well, and that was special to be able to walk in his shoes and to see, to watch him finally get to watch the show and experience that. So that's special.
Well, I had to learn a lot. I was introduced to this play when I was 20 years old, and I only performed a scene from it, but it made me feel like I had a home in the theater. It made me feel like I belonged. But I was 20 years old, and so I didn't have all of the maturity to understand what was really going on inside a booth and inside of the walls of the play. Now to come back, to have come back to it 16 years after that, I realized how much I've grown, how much I've matured as a person, as an artist, and that was what the goal was for this, was to show that growth.
Fathom is one of those plays, you read it on the page, I fell in love with it, but you don't quite know how it's going to work, how it's going to land. So from the first previews of the public, when the audience was just like on that ride, laughing, moved, crying, shrieking for joy when the stage opened up, we just knew that we had something really special.
I mean, this is my Broadway debut, so it's, but to make my Broadway debut with a piece that's this special makes it, it's just like the icing on the cake. And what's so interesting is that these audiences are a bit different than they are at the public. It's almost, I won't say they're more savvy, but they're laughing in different, like they're getting the material. And I don't know if it has to do with the size of the production, that it's bigger, because we were in a thrust theater before, it was in the round. So now it's like they get a broader scope, and so they're laughing at in places that we never expected before.
So when the puppeteers are operating the object, their focus is such that whenever you look at that puppeteer, their focus is directing you back towards the puppet. So that allows you eventually not to stop thinking that the puppeteers are there. Your eyes don't change, but your mind is trained. You're saying, this is the important information, this is where you're going to get the exciting stuff, and that bit, that's just adding to it. So stop looking at that. So you're training the audience's brain. But of course, the other stuff we do is in the design, both in terms of lightening the tiger so that it's the most vibrant thing on stage, also the most dynamic sculpture on stage. So then we're deliberately, Tim Hatley's work on the puppeteers' costumes is softening their bodies, softening their colors, so that they mute into the set, into the world, and the tiger and the other puppets stand vibrantly out.
Gosh, I mean, we've been working on this show for like 20 years, or I have, and then we have, and then it just, the journey has been so long. I wouldn't be, standing here as a nominee if it weren't for everybody involved in the show. The cast, the director, the producers, Doug Wright, the writer, like just everybody. And so it's extremely rewarding to represent everybody involved in the production.
To come back to Broadway and have a show that means so much joy to people and brings people so much light and love, and to tell a story about community that makes people reflect is one of the most perfect jobs any actor could ever want after the last 3 years we've had.
This is a special production, and it was supposed to be a 6-week gig. And it became very clear very immediately that what Lyra de Bessonet, our Tony-nominated director, created was a production that was electric in the sense that it made people laugh, it made people cry. It was a jolt of hope and introspection and complexity and all the things that Sondheim is able to do. So to have that be the case and to be a part of it and to feel like, okay, I think we're holding up our end of the bargain as actors, that's really, it means a lot to me, because you want to do right by the likes of Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine. So the fact that it is a national tour right now and there's still a huge appetite for this show, and the way that we're doing it, they're doing it at the moment, I'm really proud of that, to have been a part of that.
As a Jew, I think that this story is more urgent than ever, obviously, and it seems to me, from what I've heard the first time around, there was a bit of a resistance to really having the audience fully receive and take on the gray and the nuance and the difficulty of the story. And this time people feel so ready to get it and to hear it. So that feels really lucky. I think right away we could tell the audiences were ready to receive this particular show.
There are so many layers of meaning to this entire experience for me. There's the deeply personal one that is like with roots in my own family history. There is the fact that I'm doing a Tom Stoppard play on Broadway, which is something I never, ever truly, I mean this, ever thought was possible for me. And particularly and unfortunately at this time, with this horrifying rise in anti-Semitism, there's an urgency and a vitality to it that fills me with like a very deep sense of responsibility and purpose. So all of that culminating in this is just, I just feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I think we've all felt for a long time, for 3 years since we shut down, where do I belong? Who am I? What is my purpose? And this play, the recognition from the community has refilled my cup and given me purpose that I had really lost sight of. So this is like kind of unspeakably meaningful to me.
It is really the icing on the cake of what's been the best creative experience ever. We never expected to be welcomed by the Broadway community the way we have. It is a show full of pop songs, but we put a lot of work and care into it, and the creative team on this, it's been such a joyous experience, and so this is really just an extra special celebration of that.
It is a rewarding experience to represent a show that's so positive and uplifting, inclusive, diverse. It feels amazing. It's what Broadway should be and what it is.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.